Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. A good leader inspires people to have confidence in the leader. A great leader inspires people to have confidence in themselves. For our own success to be real, it must contribute to the success of others. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. A woman is like a tea bag. You can't tell how strong she is until you put her in hot water. We gain strength, and courage, and confidence by each experience in which we really stop to look fear in the face. We must do that which we think we cannot. Do what you feel in your heart to be right, for you'll be criticized anyway. You'll be damned if you do, and damned if you don't. Some people are going to leave a mark on this world, while others will leave a stain. It is better to light a candle than curse the darkness. I am who I am today because of the choices I made yesterday. Pit race against race, religion against religion, prejudice against prejudice. Divide and conquer. We must not let that happen here. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That is why it is called the present. If you lose money, you lose much. If you lose friends, you lose more. If you lose faith, you lose all. Many people will walk in and out of your life, but only true friends will leave footprints in your heart. I can't tell you how to succeed, but I can tell you how to fail. Try to please everybody. It takes as much energy to wish as it does to plan. Caring comes from being able to put yourself in the position of the other person. You wouldn't worry so much about what others think of you if you realized how seldom they do. The Marines I have seen around the world have the cleanest bodies, the filthiest minds, the highest morale, and the lowest morals of any group of animals I have ever seen. Thank God for the United States Marine Corps. People grow through experience if they meet life honestly and courageously. This is how character is built. The purpose of life is to live it, to taste experience to the utmost, to reach out eagerly and without fear for newer and richer experience. Never allow a person to tell you no who doesn't have the power to say yes. Nothing has ever been achieved by the person who says, "It can't be done." I believe that anyone can conquer fear by doing the things he fears to do, provided he keeps doing them until he gets a record of successful experience behind him. When you have decided what you believe, what you feel must be done, have the courage to stand alone and be counted. Since everybody is an individual, nobody can be you. You are unique. No one can tell you how to use your time. It is yours. Your life is your own. You mold it. You make it. Lest I keep my complacent way, I must remember somewhere out there a person died for me today. As long as there must be war, I ask and I must answer, was I worth dying for? No matter how plain a woman may be, if truth and honesty are written across her face, she will be beautiful. Beautiful young people are accidents of nature, but beautiful old people are works of art. In the long run, we shape our lives, and we shape ourselves. The process never ends until we die. And the choices we make are ultimately our own responsibility. Enjoy every minute you have with those you love, my dear, for no one can take joy that is passed away from you. It will be there in your heart to live on when the dark days come. Sometimes I wonder if we shall ever grow up in our politics and say definite things which mean something, or whether we shall always go on using generalities to which everyone can subscribe, and which mean very little. It is a curious thing in human experience, but to live through a period of stress and sorrow with another person, creates a bond which nothing seems able to break. You have to accept whatever comes, and the only important thing is that you meet it with courage and with the best that you have to give. A number of people still think of the United States as being overwhelmingly English, Protestant, and white. This erroneous idea influences their whole outlook. The future is literally in our hands to mold as we like. But we cannot wait until tomorrow. Tomorrow is now. The things you refuse to meet today always come back at you later on, usually under circumstances which make the decision twice as difficult as it originally was. Do the things that interest you and do them with all your heart. Don't be concerned about whether people are watching you or criticizing you. The chances are that they aren't paying attention to you. One thing life has taught me, if you are interested, you never have to look for new interests. They come to you. When you are genuinely interested in one thing, it will always lead to something else. Freedom makes a huge requirement of every human being. With freedom comes responsibility. For the person who is unwilling to grow up, the person who does not want to carry his own weight, this is a frightening prospect. The basis of world peace is the teaching which runs through almost all the great religions of the world. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Remember always that you have not only the right to be an individual, you have an obligation to be one. We are afraid to care too much, for fear that the other person does not care at all. Poor minds talk about people, average minds talk about events, great minds talk about ideas. Courage is more exhilarating than fear, and in the long run, it is easier. We are given in our newspapers and on TV and radio exactly what we, the public, insist on having, and this very frequently is mediocre information and mediocre entertainment. We will have to want peace, want it enough to pay for it, before it becomes an accepted rule. Of course, I do not believe in having everyone who is a liberal called a communist, or everyone who is conservative called a fascist. Before we can make friends with anyone else, we must first make friends with ourselves. When you look fear in the face, you are able to say to yourself, I lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. Women are like tea bags. We don't know our true strength until we are in hot water. The word liberal comes from the word free. We must cherish and honor the word free or it will cease to apply to us. Do not stop thinking of life as an adventure. You have no security unless you can live bravely, excitingly, imaginatively, unless you can choose a challenge instead of competence. If the use of leisure time is confined to looking at TV for a few extra hours every day, we will deteriorate as a people. I once had a rose named after me and I was very flattered. But I was not pleased to read the description in the catalogue, no good in a bed, but fine up against a wall. A society in which there is widespread economic insecurity can turn freedom into a barren and vapid right for millions of people. A great deal of fear is a result of just not knowing. We do not know what is involved in a new situation. We do not know whether we can deal with it. The sooner we learn what it entails, the sooner we can dissolve our fear. When you adopt the standards and the values of someone else, you surrender your own integrity. You become, to the extent of your surrender, less of a human being. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by doing the thing which you think you cannot do. No human being can ever own another, whether in friendship, love, marriage or parenthood. Many human relationships have been ruined and happiness far too often changed to misery by a failure to understand this. When will our consciences grow so tender that we will act to prevent human misery rather than avenge it? The more we simplify our material needs, the more we are free to think of other things. Friends, you and me. You brought another friend. And then there were three. We started our group. Our circle of friends. And like that circle, there is no beginning or end. It is a brave thing to have courage to be an individual. It is also, perhaps, a lonely thing. But it is better than not being an individual, which is to be nobody at all. Every woman in public life needs to develop skin as tough as rhinoceros hide. I think if the people of this country can be reached with the truth, their judgment will be in favor of the many, as against the privileged few. If we want a free and peaceful world, if we want to make the deserts bloom and man grow to greater dignity as a human being, we can do it. It isn't enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it. And it isn't enough to believe in it. One must work at it. Most of the work that's done in the world gets done by people who weren't feeling all that well at the time that they did it. It is not that you set the individual apart from society, but that you recognize in any society that the individual must have rights that are guarded.